Well, first off, Coach Pennell, welcome home.
Thank you very much.
When you first heard about former Coach Williamson leaving, how much did you want to be the next head coach at Central Arkansas?
Well, it certainly crossed my mind, and I reached out to Dr. Teague, and he explained that he had named an interim coach, and they weren't going to do anything until the spring. So there was 3 or 4 months there of just kind of waiting to see and checking in from time to time with Dr. Teague, and then fortunately for me, about the middle of February, I got a call, and they wanted to talk to me and interview me. So yeah, it was on my radar when Coach Williamson went back to the NBA.
Now, you were a player here in the 80s under the legendary coach Don Dyer. What role did Dyer play in your decision to start a coaching career?
Well, I think he certainly had an impact on me, but the first impact I had was from my father. I played for my dad in high school, and so my dad was a coach for 40-some years before he retired, and so that was kind of in my blood as a young kid with my dad being a coach. And then I had the good fortune of playing under Coach Dyer, who has won a lot of games, and it was very, very successful. So took a little bit from him, and then when I got into the college game, worked for some great men that have had a big impact on my life.
In 2008, you were named the interim head coach of the Arizona Wildcats, and that year you took the Cats to the Sweet 16 in the NCAA tournament. What did you learn about yourself as a coach during that time?
Well, I think the basketball side of it was the easy part at Arizona. I mean, I'd been a coach for quite a long time, and I felt very comfortable between the lines on the court coaching the team. The big shock for me was the celebrity status that comes with being the Arizona coach. Your time is demanded for interviews and different things, and the attention that the team got with us being successful at times was a little overwhelming. It was enjoyable for a point, but it can also be a distraction. So I learned basically that you need to keep the main thing, which is your team. It needs to be the first and primary goal of what you're doing, and so even moving on to Grand Canyon or the Phoenix Mercury or here, it's always about this team first, and then what we're doing here, that's great, but that's got to take a back seat to what's most important.
And after Arizona, you were named the head coach at Grand Canyon University, and you went 72-44 as a record in 4 seasons, and you added on 2 trips to the NCAA Division II tournament. What was your vision when you were building that program up?
When I took over the program, it had been down. They'd only had 1 or 2 winning seasons in about 15 years. The goal was to take Grand Canyon from Division II to Division I, which has happened. And so what we did, much like here, we started off with a new team. We built it on young talent. And from that point on, it just grew. In our last 2 years, we were 42-16, ranked in the top 25, and made 2 NCAA tournaments, as you alluded to. So the formula for building a program is what I learned there at Grand Canyon, and I had seen it done when I was at Oklahoma State and at Ole Miss and Arizona State. Quite frankly, those 3 programs were down when I was a part of a staff that went there. So I watched coaches assemble those programs, and the formula we used at Grand Canyon is the same one we'll use here at UCA.
Speaking of winning season, Central Arkansas has not had a winning record since moving to D1. How do you plan on fixing that?
Get better players. I'm only as good a coach as the players we have around us, but I do think you have to develop a winning mentality, and a winning mentality starts on a day-to-day basis. You have to win the day. As we talk about, winning the day is going to class and doing well. Winning the day is scoring well on a test. Winning the day is having a tremendous workout in the weight room. Those things are little links in the chain that build to stronger things. And I think what we have to do is find those victories day to day, whether it's practice, eventually games. What I've found is you don't talk tons about winning. You talk about the process. You talk about doing things correctly. And winning is a byproduct of doing things right. So it's going to be a cultural change. You do that with people you bring in, people of character, but you build on that, and then over time that leads to success. So that's the building blocks we're going to use.
You alluded it to the answer, and in your introductory press conference, you said that academics does come first in your program. Is it safe to say that you're looking at student athletes who have high character and strong work ethics in the classroom and on the court?
Well, I think that's a thread that leads to success. If you look at successful people in life, most of them have great work ethic in whatever they're doing. Most of them are successful because they're able to discipline themselves. And what I found is if you're a kid and you have a high GPA and you've done well in high school and you check the character of the kid and they're involved in whatever, social groups on campus, they're maybe committed to their church youth group, their whatever it is, most of the time those are the leaders in the schools, and those are the kind of kids we want, because I know a lot of them will be self-motivated. There's nothing worse for me as a coach than to have to motivate my team day after day. Yeah, I can give some motivating speeches or give them some material that talks about how to do your best. But if a kid doesn't have that fire within, they're probably not going to be very successful. So we're looking for that, and we've been able to recruit some kids that are outstanding students, and I expect them to do the same thing here at UCA, and I think they'll be carryover onto the court.
We talked about it right before we started filming, and your recruiting period is still open at the time of this interview, but some of your players at Grand Canyon are following you to Central Arkansas. How flattering is that as a coach that these players want to play for you?
Well, it's very flattering because obviously they got a get out of jail free card if they didn't want to play for me again. And I think the thing our fans need to understand that Grand Canyon wasn't your typical Division II program, and I don't mean that arrogantly. I'm just saying the conference that we played in was a league full of Division I transfers. And the kids that we were able to sign there actually were coming to Grand Canyon knowing the school was going to go D1. So we beat Division I schools in recruiting to get those kids. So to have those guys follow us here, it'll do two things. Number one, they're good players and they're going to help us. But number two, they'll help change this culture quicker because they know me and they know what I expect, and I expect them to show leadership in the kids that'll be coming to play for us for the first time. So I'm thrilled with them. They're good people. I think the fans, the students here will love seeing them play, but they're going to enjoy seeing them on campus too because they're very personable young men.
Can you give us some insight on your non-conference schedule for next season?
Well, first of all, right now it's not going to have any Division II opponents. I want to upgrade without being able to announce a lot of things because a lot of the contracts aren't done. But I think there'll be some teams coming in to the Ferris Center that our fans are going to want to watch. We're certainly going to play some really good competition, and we're going to take our lumps early on with a young basketball team. I think this team's very talented, but I think it's going to take them a while to learn to play. But we're going to be able to bring some teams in here that I think it'll be enjoyable for all of us to watch. So we've upgraded the schedule, and I think here before too long when we release it, people will see that.
The big storyline of the Southland Conference this spring was SFA's success in the NCAA tournament. What is it going to take for Central Arkansas to reach that level?
Well, Stephen F. Austin's been pretty good for a while. Danny Casper started that program and for a long, long time had them, near the top of the league. And then Brad Underwood came in and did a fantastic job with the players he inherited. I think what has to happen is continuity. I'm looking forward to keeping these guys together for a few years. I think are going to sign 5 or 6 freshmen. I can't remember the exact number. There's so many of them. But they're going to be the core and the backbone of what we're trying to do the next few years. And certainly Stephen F. has been the, kind of the benchmark along with Northwestern State, who had a really good year the year before. We have to elevate our game. The thing I've found in good conferences, it's not good. Those teams aren't coming back to the pack. Everyone else has to raise their game. And that's what we have to do, and that's what we'll have to shoot for. So you do that through recruiting, but you also do it through what we talked about earlier, the schedule. We need to play good non-conference teams to get us ready for the Southland Conference and kind of put our eggs in that basket. We play in a one-bid league pretty much. There's going to be one team that wins the tournament, the Southland Conference tournament, to go to the NCAA tournament. Last year we had two other teams that made postseason play, in Sam Houston and Texas Corpus Christi. So it can be done that you can go to other tournaments, but the big prize is always the NCAA tournament, and that's what we're shooting for.
Do you think it's going to affect the team at all because they will be young and you will be upping the level of preseason? You think it's going to affect their confidence at all?
I really don't, because I think these kids know what they're shooting for, and sometimes being young, you're so naive you just don't even know. It's just the next game. Can't wait to play again. Looking forward to it. And what we're going to do, and I've always done this with young teams, we're going to find the victories within the game. You know, what we need to do early on is play stretches of good basketball. If we have the first game play 10 good minutes out of the 40, that might not seem much to fans. But to me as a coach, that's the film we watch. That's what we build on. We deal from a positive standpoint. I don't deal in negatives. And I don't like to lose. I hate losing. I'm very competitive. But I'm not the kind of guy that we're losing that you're going to see my countenance drop. I'm going to be on my team and blame them. It has to be the small victories that we win within the game that will eventually lead to a good 40-minute game and ultimately victories on the scoreboard. So there's a process that we go through, and I think that the people that are above me, that have hired me, understand that. And there'll be times we'll be frustrated, I'm sure, all of us. But I believe if we're in it for the long haul, we're going to have something here we're all proud of.
Texas A&M Corpus Christi had a drastic turnaround this season. They went from being non-eligible for postseason play to the ranked number 2 seed in the Southland tournament. Is this the type of turnaround that we can expect the Bears to have this season?
You know, I don't think we can predict anything. I really don't know. A lot of it depends on how quickly our guys get acclimated to the college game. What I do know is we're going to play really hard. We're going to play together. It'll be an unselfish brand of basketball, and I know we're talented. And with those ingredients, if we can put it together, I think we can have some success. But where we finish in that, I mean, that's like predicting the weather. You know, we just don't know, and you have to stay injury-free, a lot of different things. But those are certainly stories that you look at, storylines you look at, and you know it can be done. But we're all in this conference shooting for the same thing, to win the league, to win the tournament, and go to the NCAA tournament. So our goals will never change on that. How quickly we get there, you know, only time will tell.
Where do you see the Central Arkansas basketball program in 5 years?
Well, I hope that people talk about us as being one of the better teams in the Southland Conference and a threat every year to win it. You know, that's certainly the goal, is for consistency. You don't want to be a one-hit wonder. You don't want to, you know, have that one magical year and then fall off again. What I really think marks a good program and a successful program is year in, year out, everyone knows you're going to be a threat to win your conference. And I hope in 5 years that we're one of those teams, that we're in the upper half to the upper 2 or 3 in the league year in, year out. And if we do our job and recruit well, if we coach these guys in a positive manner, and try to build them into winners, and we can change that culture, I don't see why we can't do it. We have a beautiful city, a beautiful, beautiful campus. Our arena is the perfect size. I expect the Ferris Center to be rocking and rolling by then. And so we should have a lot of ingredients that lead to success, and so that's certainly our goal and our dream.
If you could address the fans right now, why should they be excited for the 2014-2015 season?
I think the biggest thing for the young men we're bringing in, they're going to see that they are a quality bunch. They're going to be people you want to get behind. They're going to be people you're going to be proud of. I think they're going to be very approachable, especially our students. I really expect our guys to be leaders on this campus. I want them to be high profile, where people see them, feel comfortable and going up and talking to them. We don't want to be aloof. We don't want to be arrogant. That's not what we're about as a staff. It's not what we're about as a team. And I think we've recruited these type of guys that are going to be very instrumental in the campus life. And I think this community will enjoy watching these guys play. I know they're going to play hard. I know they're going to play the right way. You won't see selfish basketball on our team, and you're going to see an exciting up and down brand. So I'm hoping people will get their tickets and get their seats and be ready, because we're certainly looking forward to the future and this first season in particular.